We're gonna jump right into it. Arsenal versus Liverpool review. We just got done watching the match. Well, that's near tears, but it's okay. So
I've wiped them away already. I've wiped them away. I've wiped them.
We'll start with you, Bolade. Let's hear from you. What were your thoughts about the game going into the game, and now that the game is over? What did you think?
Going into the game, I was just trying not to jinx us. Not saying anything negative about Arsenal or anything like that, but I knew it was going to be a tough game. I remember people people tried to pepper me the last time we played each other, and I said, "Look, the Arsenal midfield is solid. You guys controlled the midfield in that first game, and you did so in the first half of this game as well." And so I knew it was going to be a very difficult game, and it was. You guys came and you weren't playing around. We were sloppy. This is probably one of the most sloppiest performances I've seen from my team, especially in a long time. And part of that was because of what you made us do. I'm not a hater. I'm not like some of these other people. I'm not a Man U fan. I'm a real football person, and I give credit where credit is due. You guys bust us around, especially in that first half. But all I was praying for is, Father God, please give us one, just one before the half. And we got it. I don't know where it came from, but we finally got it. And the second half, we played a lot better, but then mistakes.
Going into the game, I knew obviously it's always Liverpool, and I knew it was going to be a very entertaining game. I knew there's going to be goals in it, and I think it was in a way it was kind of similar to the FA Cup game we played against Liverpool, except this time around we were probably a bit more fortunate, or whatever term you want to use, not lucky, but in terms of we actually put the ball in the back of the net this time, because I think so it was kind of those parallels which kind of made me a little worried, because if I remember that game as well, it was 0-0, and this time around the first half was 1-1. I'm like, okay, I knew Klopp was going to make the changes in halftime, which he did, and but fortunately we were able to just get across there. I would say though, one thing about the game, there was a master stroke from Arteta, which was, again, he did it against him in FA Cup, was Jorginho. And, Jorginho, he was able to get those passes between the lines under pressure. And obviously knowing that having Rice next to him, and that made a key difference. And I think that's part of why, you have noticed he plays that against, teams like Liverpool, Newcastle, and we're kind of a bit more like the Arsenal from last season, as opposed to what we did before, where we kind of get the ball, then try to protect it, and then by the time you do that, the chance is gone. So I think that's why you got a bit more exciting football from Arsenal to counter Liverpool, because Liverpool's a dangerous team, so you can't just sit back. They'll hate you on that.
I mean, Arsenal were the better team. They played much better. Even I think compared to the FA Cup game, Arsenal played a more matured game this time around. They didn't go all guns blazing, so you were not susceptible to living the counter attacks. Which Liverpool are usually good at transitions, and the errors help. I mean, obviously Van Dijk, he had a stinker. I mean, even before the goal. Now, this is not revisionism. This is not something that happened after the fact. Before the goal, I was angry with him because he was slowing down our tempo. He would take the ball, he would look, he would turn back, pass the ball back. He was just slowing our tempo all game. Before he even made the error, I was angry at him because this season he has had a good season, but it seemed today he reverted to the "I'm too cool for school" Van Dijk. That was what he was doing today. I'm too cool for school, and it was annoying me even before he made the error. And immediately the ball bounced for that second goal. You could just see where it was going. You don't let that kind of ball bounce. I'm afraid I'm going hard on him because he's like our most experienced player. He's our captain. That was a high-pressure game. Fair enough. He took full responsibility in the post-match interview. He took full responsibility, but that should not take anything away from Arsenal. I mean, we can't reduce that victory to only the errors. Arsenal played well to deserve the win. Absolutely.
I did think that we had a chance just based off the recent history at home. I don't like what happened at FA Cup at home, so I was wary, whatever the word is, and I was like, hedging my bet. So we started out really well, started out very brightly. The early goal helped. We scored in 15 minutes. Again, Havertz, not my favorite player. I describe him as someone who he feels like he doesn't know where his legs are. I feel like he's not the one controlling his legs. That's how like as if he has someone else, a marionette that's controlling his legs. Like, bro, just focus. But no. I think him being up front was a good enough distraction. He holds the ball pretty well, holds up well, and he's a good target as far as like people are going to be drawn to him. Even though I don't think I feel like we should leave him alone. He hurt himself. But anyway, the fact that he was able to get that pass, at least get the shot out to Allison that he had to parry away to the path of Bukayo, that worked for me. Second goal again, that was y'all's error. But again, we had our own error right before that. Someone was saying that low IQ defending. I wasn't impressed, but let's chill. Again, these are players, and these are players that we say are quote unquote world class players. I feel like you take the good with the bad with them, and the bad times are very.
I saw the highlights of the game. I couldn't actually see the actual game, but from what I saw, it was a good game. We progressed to the semifinal, but we're not quite there yet. Like I don't know, something just seems like we're not firing on full cylinders yet. I'm praying that this continues and we continue to win, and but South Africa, in the semifinals, it's going to be interesting, and it's looking like Congo or Cote d'Ivoire in the finals if we make it that far, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. So, I'm hoping Osimhen starts firing.
Has he scored at all? Has he scored at all?
One.
We scored one goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. I mean, overall, what we scored. Our best game was probably against Cameroon. Even that game wasn't that great, but it was, it was effective.
Yeah.
Ola, did you watch this one?
Yeah, I watched it. The team, they've not played spectacular. They're playing, somebody call it, we will call it tournament football. They're playing tournament football. It's not spectacular. They just grind it out, get the goal, shut up shop. I've been impressed. Sorry?
They're not conceding. They're very solid in the back. And
Exactly. Considered only one goal, kept 4 straight clean sheets. Against the Angola match, I feel we probably could have, if we needed another goal, we really could have finished it off. But I think in the second half, we are a bit more conservative, just soaked it up and hit them on the break. I agree with Bola. I'm a bit worried, not because of South Africa. I'm worried that if Sims Cote d'Ivoire's name is on this trophy, it seems because they've come back from the dead so many times. They lost 2 games in the group stages, lost 4-0. I mean, to Ecuador. I don't know how they're in the semifinals. It's like their name is on the trophy. Seriously. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried that even if we make the final and we meet Cote d'Ivoire, we're going to lose it because it seems they are destined to win it. Because I just don't know how they're there. I don't know how, they were playing 10 against 11 and they still won. They're playing 10 against 11 for over an hour and they were 1 goal down and they still won. Ow. Seriously. Yeah, no. So I'm just worried about them. South Africa, I think we probably will handle South Africa because physically we're dominant. The one thing I like about this team, our Nigerian team, they're physical, they work hard, they properly work hard. They're all closing down, they're pressing, all of them. And I think we can physically dominate the South Africans. But if we get to the final against Ivory Coast, we're not physically dominating those guys. Those guys are also big and strong and physical. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, we're not playing great, but it's tournament football. You don't have to play great. Just win, progress, That's it.
Yeah, I picked Nigeria to win. Remember that podcast from 2 weeks ago? I wanted them to win. Yeah. I didn't think we had to be the best team to win this tournament. That was my point. I felt like we just had to be effective, grow into the game as the matches went along, and we could sneak a win. Now, Ivory Coast, I watched that game. I joined in extra time. So they're already 1-1. I knew they were a man down, and I would watch extra time. And I was like, this is going to penalties, blah, blah, blah. Next thing they scored. Did you guys see the reaction from Mali? Mali players went mad. I'm like, why are you guys that? I get that they're upset, but I don't think anything was wrong. The referee shouldn't have called anything off. That was a legitimate goal. In fact, it may have been an own goal. But they were beating the ref. I saw them lay hands on the ref. And it was a crazy scene. And that just tells you how much this AFCON, we know it's a great show. It's been a great show all tournament. And I feel like it means a lot to these players. I'm not saying it didn't mean much in the past, but it's just these people were crying in tears. It almost feels like a World Cup. really, really invested. I think Ivory Coast will be okay if they lose in the semifinals because they're really not supposed to be here. They can lose in the semifinals and then go and play the third place match, win that game. Just stay away from the final because Ola is right. There's some spirit following them around. Go to the final. I just want to see Congo in peace. Let's win this game. Ray, what do you have to add?
That's a good point. I think like Ivory Coast is like the biggest glow up. Like this people, like everyone said, they were out. It was, it's like the best third place finishers, and even that was like almost like a last minute goal from Morocco or against Morocco that got them in.
Yeah.
So I think I'll talk. So the Nigerian performance, I think, so again, what a lot of people have said is it's boring. It's not that exciting. I have noticed we have kind of grown into now. We kind of like understand that's the style we're playing, where we're a bit more sort of physical, hard to break down, and then we can step it up as needed. I think it was still a little clumsy the first in the group stage, but we've kind of grown into our own in that regards. Like you said, we could have stepped it up in Angola if we really needed to. So it's interesting. We're kind of going to the tournament. But again, to the point everyone said, South Africa, as long as we don't now underestimate them, just stick to what we're doing and maybe even step it up a little, I see us getting past them. But again, once we get to the final, Ivory Coast, it looks there's something. I don't exactly what everyone said. Knocked out Senegal, and then Mali, and then you know how this goes. It's in their home. There's referees. There's all these things that so if they lose in the semis, cool. But once they get to the finals, you're working against all sorts of spiritualities and principalities